watching the news at 6.
And we'll see you tonight on the Nightbeat.
We're still on the lookout for our first real deal cold front to bring some noticeable changes. Unfortunately, that is not in the works anytime soon. There will be some cooler air out there. It's just not really going to make it here to our neck of the woods. A weak front will arrive this weekend, but it's just going to drop the humidity. The core of the cooler air and the real changes will be too far to the north of us. So it's more of a wind shift line. And then there will be cooler air out there, just not here. The longer range trend from October 20th to the 24th, western U.S. below average, the rest of us, including Texas, above average. And the rainfall situation not looking good. There will be disturbances out there. They just won't be hitting us. And the ones that cause rain will be elsewhere up and around Texas. So we're looking dry, but there's a little glimmer of hope. Could have a stray shower or two Friday, Saturday right now, at 10 to 20% chance. Don't count on it. But of course, things can change between now and then. So check back in for updates. Otherwise, mornings mid 60s, afternoons right near 90.
At least for tonight, the rainbow crosswalks along a section north of downtown San Antonio are still there. City leaders say that they have no plans to remove them after Governor Greg Abbott directed KSAT to enforce the removal of, quote, all political ideologies from Texas streets. And that was the hot topic tonight at a community meeting. Night Team's Avery Everett was there, and she joins us now live from the Pride District. Avery, what did they say? Tonight on the Nightbeat, a locker room burglarized while the team was playing on the field, and we have the coach's reaction tonight. Also, the government shutdown continues after senators failed to pass another spending bill, and we see how all of this is affecting people right here in San Antonio.
I'm Dylan Collier on the Nightbeat. It's been more than 900 days since Bexar County commissioners voted to study whether the sheriff's office needs more patrol deputies. So why has that study never taken place?
Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
Today, jurors in the trial of 3 former San Antonio police officers who shot and killed a woman in her apartment saw body camera video showing what happened when another officer got to that scene right before those 3 men who are on trial. Now, the video that you're looking at came from Officer Robert Ramos's body cam. He's one of the first officers who arrived at that apartment complex. The footage shows Ramos repeatedly knocking on Melissa Perez's door, trying to get her to come out. And then he has this interaction with Perez.
Are you Melissa? Are you a gang member? You look like a gang member.
And just a reminder that Officer Ramos is not on trial. He did not shoot Perez. But when another officer was on the stand today, the prosecution asked him about Ramos's interaction with Perez.
The actions that we're seeing from Officer Ramos, would you say that's in line of de-escalating the situation?
No, sir.
And that's important because the question at the center of this trial is whether those 3 officers violated protocol. Eliezer Alejandro, Alfred Flores, and Nathaniel Villalobos all face life in prison if they're convicted. Testimony in this case continues tomorrow morning, and you could watch it all live on our streaming platforms. Who would steal from high school kids? That's what people are asking tonight. Someone or a group of people ransacked a high school locker room as the football team was out on the field. The Night Team John Paul Barajas sat down with the head coach of Holmes High School, whose players got thousands of dollars worth of items stolen from them.
It's a Texas high school football tradition, playing underneath the Friday night lights. That's exactly what Holmes High School is doing here at Gus Stadium last Friday against a tough district opponent. Meanwhile, at their campus, just a mile away, someone broke into their locker room and stole thousands of dollars worth of personal belongings.
Friday night, the Holmes Huskies' attention was solely on their matchup at Gus Stadium.
Your boys are out there doing their best on the gridiron. Meanwhile, somebody's knowing that is taking advantage and going through their stuff.
I couldn't sleep over the weekend.
Head coach Pete Padilla said after a tough loss on the field, the football team returned to school only to discover another campus locker room burglarized.
Coaches had told you it looked ransacked. When you walked in there, could you still see that the place had been torn up, or what did it look like?
Or I saw bags on the ground, which are never usually there. You just saw things on the floor that weren't just usual.
Northside ISD police are investigating. They say there are 14 victims with items such as jewelry, cash, and credit and debit cards stolen. Their rough estimate is a hit of at least $3,400.
It was the look of the kids when I walked in the locker room. I knew there was something wrong because some of the things that were taken were personal items. You know, they were given by a grandparent, given by a grandmother. They're to these kids and they're priceless.
Due to the ongoing investigation, details provided by NISD on the incident are limited. Anyone with information is asked to contact the district at 210-397-SAFE.
Whoever it was, they weren't worried about getting caught. And, you know, I hope that we are able to find out who they are because they took the time to be in there.
John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
And yes, there is a technical issue that was going on with that story. I don't want you to think that it's anything wrong with your television or your viewing device. So we're working on it. Now, let's move on. Starting November 3rd, hundreds of people who rely on a nonprofit for food will lose that service. Comes down to money, like so many things these days. Meals on Wheels San Antonio delivers free meals to the elderly, disabled, and people who are too sick to prepare their own food. The thing is, though, that nonprofit gets a chunk of its funding from the Alamo Area Council of Governments, and some of that money has dried up. So Meals on Wheels San Antonio has had to make a tough decision. They are choosing to focus on the people who need its services the most. The nonprofit CEO says, in part, quote, "This is one of the most difficult decisions we've ever had to make. We know how much these meals and visits mean to our clients. They provide nourishment, companionship, and safety." Meals on Wheels San Antonio says that it notified the people who are going to be affected by this cut, and they're hoping that all of this is temporary. They also say that if they get more funding in the meantime, they could reverse that decision. All right, so 10:04 right now, 79 degrees, and let's talk about those cooler temperatures tomorrow morning.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be a pleasant morning, mid-60s again, but I want to put this in perspective, okay? When it comes to the first morning below 60 degrees, let's take a look at it. The average date for that is September 26th. That has clearly come and gone a long time ago. So what about the latest date we've ever had our first morning below 60? That's October 22nd. That happened back in 1929. Keep in mind, the coolest we've been so far this fall is 63 degrees. That's the coolest we've been. We're still yearning for that sub 60 degree morning. And I don't think we're going to be anywhere near it. I think we'll actually break the record, the all-time record for the longest time into fall until you actually get below 60 degrees. We'll be in the mid 60s going forward for the foreseeable future. So tomorrow morning, more specifically, 65 within 410. In outlying areas, some low 60s, even Stinson 63, Helotes 62, Bandera, Bernie, Comfort at 58 tomorrow morning. We're still looking for that cold front, Steph. We'll talk about what the longer range prospects are of that front in just a bit.
All right, looking forward to that. Thank you, Adam. Tomorrow marks day 15 of the government shutdown, and there's still no end in sight. A Republican-backed short-term funding bill didn't pass the Senate. That measure would have reopened the government and kept it open through November 21st. The thing is, though, it needed 60 votes to pass, but not enough Democrats voted for it. The measure didn't address any of the Democrats' health care demands. Earlier today, the White House Office of Management and Budget said that it would continue to, quote, ride out the shutdown with more reductions in force. It's unclear when lawmakers are going to take up another vote to fund the federal government. So the question is, what happens to federal workers who would have otherwise gotten paid tomorrow? Because that's still in limbo. Thousands of families in San Antonio don't know when their next check is going to come. But military families in Bexar County can get help through the Help to Vets Financial Assistance Program. More than 40 people have applied to that grant-funded program over the last week, and it offers monetary help to keep military service members and their families from falling behind in their mortgage and rent payments. And people can also use that money for utilities, vehicle repairs, and food. To be eligible, however, active duty members, veterans, and their dependents have to live in Bexar County, and those who live outside Bexar County have to be assigned to Joint Base San Antonio.
There's a standard cap of about $6,000 total per household. We've been averaging about $1,500 to $2,000 per family to date.
For more information on the Help to Vets Financial Assistance Program, you can call the number on your screen. It's 210-435-7838. I'll read it again. 210-435-7838. One of the problems is that even before this shutdown, nonprofits that usually help people in need were themselves taking a hit, like the Care Zone at Dwight Middle School over on the south side. That organization provides things like clothing, diapers, formula, and food to about 150,000 people every year. But now the CEO says that they're struggling because not as many people are donating.
We've seen a change in the past year, even with our larger donors who have not been able to give, or their budgets, or it's not included in their budget.
It's really a time for everybody to pitch in now. So if you want to donate food or money, you can find that information on KSAT.com. Just look for the story. Over in the New Braunfels ISD, students can't take books out from their libraries, and that's because the school district temporarily suspended student access to all library materials. The district wants to review its 195,000 books and resources to make sure that they fall in line with a new state law. That law focuses on keeping indecent or harmful content out of the district's libraries. The districts, though, didn't say how long this process could take, but they did say that once the review is done, students will get access to materials that meet legal and educational standards. According to the Texas Education Agency, schools are also required to let parents see the library catalog and control which books their kids can check out. Looking ahead to next Monday, October 20th, that is when early voting for the upcoming election starts. The important dates, we're going to put them on your screen. There they are, right there. So this time, the Bexar County voters will decide on two propositions, both of them related to the San Antonio Spurs' potential relocation to a downtown arena. And we have everything that you need to know about this year's election. Just visit ksat.com/vote. Stay right where you are, because we're asking a question. What happened? It's been 2 years since leaders ordered a study on the size of the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, yet that study still hasn't happened. KSAT Investigates looks into why. Bexar County commissioners voted to examine whether the sheriff's office has enough deputies protecting our community. And nearly 2.5 years later, that study still hasn't taken place. KSAT Investigates Dylan Collier digs into what happened and also whether you and your family are safe.
To put it simply, I think we have a problem.
Precinct 3 Commissioner Grant Moody arrived at court in April 2023, hoping to provide the Bexar County Sheriff's Office with a much-needed injection of law enforcement personnel. Moody proposed adding 12 new patrol positions immediately, unfreezing a dozen more, budgeting for an additional 50 in the next fiscal year, and commissioning a study to be completed by the end of that July that would determine the appropriate number of law enforcement positions budgeted for BCSO moving forward. Data compiled by Moody that spring showed Bexar County had 0.6 deputies per 1,000 residents, far below the national average of 2.8 members of law enforcement per 1,000 residents.
And the longer we wait to address these issues, the more difficult fixing the problem will become.
An ambitious swing at improving public safety that was met with more than an hour of the fellow members of the court responding like this.
Maybe we can come up with some number that's more accurate.
I have not been a part of this conversation.
I like no surprises.
Judge, could we have time to speak on this motion?
Well, I thought we've done that, but
yeah,
Commissioner Calvert, you have the floor.
After the back and forth, Moody did notch a couple of wins that day, getting commissioners to unfreeze the 12 positions and landing a unanimous vote to move forward with the study. But that's where the story turns. More than 900 days after that meeting took place, Bexar County officials confirm no study was done, no analysis ever completed on whether BCSO is properly staffed to patrol areas continuing to grow in population.
Is it frustrating that that work was put in, that this vote took place so long ago, and here we are now in the fall of 2025 and there's still no study?
Yeah, I don't know why. If the court decides to take action, especially unanimous action towards moving forward with study, then that study should occur. I think it's fair to ask those questions, though.
We did just that and got a mixed bag of responses. Judge Peter Sakai left town for a trip before his spokesman said he could ask him for comment. BCSO press officials declined to make Sheriff Javier Salazar available for an interview and didn't provide so much as a written statement. County Manager David Smith, meanwhile, told us via email the county worked with BCSO to draft a scope of work, which was presented to commissioners in July of last year, but that he was asked to put it aside until after the budget was adopted. And during the most recent budget process completed last month, no member of the court or BCSO asked for funding for the study.
From a good governance standpoint, we want to know what we should have. Maybe we're understaffed, maybe we're overstaffed. We don't know if we don't have a study and we don't have some data to base it on. And that was the whole point behind commissioning the study.
Dylan Collier, KSAT Investigates.
You know, the county has recently added law enforcement positions to the sheriff's office, but at a far lower number than Moody had originally hoped for. A total of 46 deputies and 6 sergeants have been added these past 2 budget cycles. In a statement, leadership for the Deputy Sheriff's Association of Bexar County pushed for this study to finally be done, saying, quote, "We are confident that once the study is completed, it will demonstrate what our deputies experience daily, that the need for additional patrol officers in unincorporated Bexar County is real and pressing." And they continue, quote, "Our deputies remain committed to protecting the community, but the growing imbalance between population and patrol strength makes it increasingly difficult to meet residents' expectations for timely service." Now let's pivot and bring you outside, show you the live cam. 79 degrees out there, and you were talking about this before, Adam. We're still talking about a relatively warm October.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And actually, if we stay on this path, which I'm pretty sure we will, it's likely to become the warmest October on record here in San Antonio. And those records go back to the late 1800s. So you take a look at the warmest Octobers. Last year is number 1. At 78.5 degrees. That's the average temperature for the month. That's how you calculate the rankings for the hottest months. But so far in 2025, we're at 80.2 degrees. And I don't really see any big signs of changes. Now, there will be some cooler air out there coming south from Canada, but not really making it here to our neck of the woods. We'll have a weak cool front moving to south central Texas this weekend, basically a wind shift line and going to knock down the humidity a bit more. That's about it. If we're lucky, we could squeeze a stray shower out of it. But the cooler air will not be here or even up and down the midsection of the country. Now, you look at just today, and we were above average here in town by 5 degrees. Good chunk of the midsection of the U.S. above average, but it's a very different situation. You go to the western United States here and way below average. That's because of the kind of pattern that we're in, and that's going to persist all the way through at least October 24th, I think at least. And this is the Climate Prediction Center's outlook, by the way, and they have that western U.S., western third basically below average, everybody else above average. But the reason is we keep getting these upper level circulations coming into the west. So for us, that means right near 90 degrees, give or take a degree or two every day. So the below average temperatures in the west, you see this counterclockwise swirl? That's a good rain-making upper level low. And actually, the higher elevation snowfall, that's the blue you see here in California. You know, the ski resorts are getting excited for that. But we're seeing a series of these big barreling upper lows drop south from Canada, and they pull that cooler air southward with them into the western U.S. Around here, different situation. We have the upper level high, the big blue H, that's basically planted overhead. Now, the current upper level high, it's going to break down a little bit. We'll even have a weak disturbance move in on Thursday. You'll notice a few clouds from it. That's about it. Not the rain-making kind of disturbance. But overall, the real active systems, these L's, the red L's you see on the map, they're going to be moving up and around Texas, and you see a lot of rainfall potential. And it's that time of year, higher elevation snow potential in the Rockies. But for us, it's just high and dry. So not only are we on track to have the warmest October, I know I'm just full of great news, aren't I? But we're also on track to have the driest October. The driest on record is a trace of rain, which is just under 1/100th of an inch, and that was in 1952. And last year we only had 100th of an inch. So far, we've had absolutely zero, not even a trace, and we don't see any good signs for rain anytime soon. Weak little tropical storm Lorenzo way out in the ocean. Yeah, it's going to stay out there. 88, our high temperature today. It's 5 degrees above average. The record 98 set last year. And temperature is still a mixture of 70s and 80s, but for the most part, we've dipped down into the 70s. 65 in the morning, 83 at noon, 90 the high temperature. And for the most part, lower 90s in some of the typically warmer areas and upper 80s in the hill country. And I know, a 10% chance Friday, Saturday. I mean, it's a stretch, but we can hope, right?
Yeah. Now I want to focus on winning numbers, like the Spurs, right? Okay, so I think something interesting is happening with the team, and it's kind of analogous, I think, to a lot of our own workplaces, right? You need that young, fresh, just that enthusiasm, right?
Sure, yeah.
But there is something about having older veterans and having people on the team who have just seen it all, and they just had that experience. And I think that that's what we're seeing with the Spurs.
Yeah, and you can't replace that when it comes to a player like Harrison Barnes. I mean, last year the Spurs had it from Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes. This year, Harrison Barnes, you just cannot replace his veteran leadership. And UTSA football, they are definitely feeling much better about themselves. Coming up. The Spurs are 4-0 in the preseason for the first time since the 2001-02 campaign when they were still in the Midwest Division. Now, a lot of that perfect mark is due to third-year player Victor Wembanyama, who has been able to show off a lot of his unique skill set. He's running the floor like a point guard, which has to be scary for the other teams. Then you have 33-year-old forward Harrison Barnes, who is now in his 14th NBA season and his second one with the Spurs. Barnes provides scoring, defense, and veteran leadership, and the younger Spurs have certainly taken notice.
Just, I think his work ethic. He's the first one in the gym all the time. He does the little things right. He talks, he cuts hard, finishes cuts, just little things like that I think a lot of people don't appreciate unless you're a true basketball fan. So I mean, just little things like that.
I guess he gave you the pass for your first basket the other night. Is that kind of some of the things you're talking about?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're talking about what he sees out there, what I see out there. You know, I'm new to this league. He's been in this league a pretty long time. So I mean, I think I got a lot to learn from him and the rest of the vets.
I mean, I feel like the main thing learning from HB is just being a pro, probably just getting everything on time, taking care of your body, just the little stuff. With HB, I feel like he does all of that to a T. So being able to hear that from him and watch him do it, I mean, seeing how long he's been playing, obviously he's doing something right. So.
For a young team that's had a losing record for the last handful of seasons, does winning their preseason games help? That's what Coach Johnson was asked last night in Indianapolis.
I think for the group, we're just trying to stack good days, and so that's a byproduct, I think, of what they could do in day to day. So we should feel good about that.
I mean, you want to win any game you get on the court. So I mean, yeah, just being able to go out there, fight through adversity. It helps us with film, being able to go back and look at what we did wrong. But I mean, yeah, that's what the preseason is for. Go out there and mess up so we can fix it. But I mean, we've been doing good this preseason, so we just got to keep it going.
The Spurs will close out preseason play Friday night at home with the Pacers. After a bye week, the Incarnate Word Cardinals are back on the field and getting ready to play some football. They closed out the first half of their schedule with a 31-17 loss to Stephen F. Austin, dropping their record to 2-4 overall and 0-2 in the Southland Conference. The first half of their season was definitely up and down, and now they have 6 regular season games to go to get back on track and make a postseason push.
It's time. The phone's ringing, so we're either going to answer it or we're not. I mean, the first half of the season, just an inconsistent football team, to be totally honest with you. Operation and execution was off. Obviously, we had shuffle at a number of different positions, at the quarterback, on the offensive line, across the whole board. But that's part of it. That's college football nowadays. So we feel good where we're at. We feel good where we're going into the second half of the season with the guys that we have in place and the scheme that we have in place so they can be successful.
We're going to have challenges. They're going to be bad times. They're going to be bad plays, but we know we got to keep going, and that's been the message from Coach Killow. Just being able to be resilient and just keep going and battle through everything and just go 1-0 every week.
The Cardinals will host East Texas A&M University Saturday at 4:30 p.m. in their Salute the Heroes game. UTSA roughed up Rice 61-13 at the Alamo Dome on Saturday. You know it felt great. The Roadrunners had 437 yards of total offense, 246 in the air and 191 on the ground. The 61 points set a new program record for a single game. It's just the performance they wanted and needed before taking on the Mean Green, because the Roadrunners know what they are capable of.
I think, we always knew we had what we were capable of. We saw this throughout the offseason. It was just a matter of time of doing that in game, and it happens to be, last Saturday against Rice. So the challenge is to keep building on that and learn from it.
UTSA will play at North Texas Saturday at 2:30 in the afternoon. Bryce Miller explains a pregame routine after the break.